I thought maybe it was time that I made a video about this deranged Trump syndrome. That's where the world votes for a deranged man and allows him to become the leader of the free world. Now, it was Trump himself who coined the phrase Trump derangement syndrome, which is incredibly ironic because that's the problem. His derangement is causing so much damage. But he tends to do things like that, like when he lost the election and he said, "This is a fraud on the American people." I thought, yes, it is a fraud, but you're the one causing it. You just don't specify who's causing it. So technically he's telling the truth. So here, when he talks about Trump derangement syndrome, he's talking about the truth. He is deranged. Now the problem is this. Donald Trump hates everybody, but he hates himself most of all. Now, hard to believe, but hear me out. Don't turn over to that TikTok video of kittens just yet. Listen, this is important. He knows that he's stupid and evil and a coward and a bully and a self-obsessed narcissist, and he has no empathy for anybody else, and he's greedy and he doesn't trust anybody. He knows all these things. So if you try and point them out to him, he's not going to calmly refute them and say, "Oh, no, that's not the case." He's just going to have a panic attack. And then he'll attack you and be saying, "Oh, it's not me. I'm not the problem. It's you. You're just a nasty person. You've got Trump derangement syndrome. You've got never Trumper. That's what you are." And then he tries to delude himself. So, "I'm not an idiot. I'm the smartest person in the world. I'm a genius. I'm not racist. I'm the least racist person in the world." Just look at the announcement he made on drugs. "Oh, we've cut the prices of drugs by 600%. If you cut them by 100%, you're giving them away for free. If you cut them by 600%, you're paying people to take them away. So that's obviously crazy. So how did they let him get away with that? Why didn't that little blonde bimbo of his come out and say, "Well, the president didn't really mean 600%. Now we've got things like Greenland. Why does he have to own Greenland? Well, because he doesn't trust anybody. He knows everybody hates him, and so they're not going to just let him have all these bases on Greenland, even though there's an agreement that says that. America used to have like 13 bases, and now it's only got one. He could easily have more bases if he wanted them. But no, he has to own Greenland because then he'll be in control because he doesn't trust anybody else. They won't play nice with him. He has to bully them into doing things. And once he's bullied them, they won't want to do them. They'll only do them because they have to." An even bigger problem is this board of peace. He tried to get a third term. So many of my books are full of political satire, especially about Donald Trump. And in one of them, he tried to run for a third term. And then he actually suggested he might run for a third term. But now he seems to have come up with this idea. They've got this board of peace who are supposed to be just handling the reconstruction of Gaza. But he sees, I can get all these people to join in and we can turn it into an alternative version of the UN where I get to be in charge forever and ever and ever. It doesn't matter that I'm only got 3 more years as president. I'll be in charge of this board of peace. A board of peace featuring Russia, the biggest warmonger in the planet at the moment. I mean, after the United States, that is. I mean, he went to war with Venezuela just to get their oil, but he pretended it was all about drugs. And then he lets this huge drug lord off and doesn't think, "Oh, wait a minute, that's completely undermining my argument. People are going to see right through that." He doesn't care. Or maybe he's just too stupid to realise. The thing about this board of peace is if he invites people to join, and, it's not just all the bad guys. It's not like he's trying to reconstruct the East Bloc, where you had the Soviet Union and all the Bulgaria, Romania, East Germany, all of those countries united under communism. He'll invite people like Australia and Canada to join, just so that he can tell them what to do. Now we're going to have a meeting and we're going to vote on this, and you're all going to do what I say. It would be interesting if they had this board of peace and suddenly everyone voted Trump off We don't like you as leader. We're voting you out. But you can't vote me out. I invented this thing. This is my game. I think very soon the UN are going to have to form some sort of opinion. I mean, every time the price of health insurance goes up and everyone complains, and the cost of living goes up and everyone complains, and then everyone protests against the ICE agents, he has to distract himself some way. This is what I call being in the 9-foot. This is something, a reference to Adolf Hitler, who was going to build a railway with a 9-foot gauge with these huge trains, and it would run from Berlin to Moscow. He had to distract himself with this fantasy that he was going to beat Russia, and that Moscow would become part of Germany, and he would have this wonderful train to go back and forth. So he was just distracting himself and deluding himself. And so Trump is constantly distracting himself. Oh, health insurance has gone up. Oh, quick, look, invade Venezuela. Oh no, everybody hates my policy on ICE. They all think I'm murdering everyone. Oh, quick, look at Iran. I mean, look at Iran. He said, don't you go killing those people or I'll attack you. And then they announced they'd stop executing people. He says, oh, well, there you are, I won. But of course, they can just shoot them in the streets instead of formally executing them. And now he says, oh, I'll attack you if you don't disarm your nuclear weapons. Well, what's that got to do with the protesters? They're not using nuclear weapons against them. He doesn't care about the protesters. He doesn't care that 30,000 people have been killed. He just wants to look tough because he's a bully. If the Board of Peace is just another distraction from the Epstein files or whatever, then he could just lose interest. Or calmly chicken out like he did with Greenland. You know, if you've got Russia on the Board of Peace and all these other countries who are not particularly democratic, some of them are just outright autocracies, and they all vote, oh yes, Ukraine has to surrender the Donbass, and then the war will end and they can have peace. And they all vote on this because they're all of a like mind. And so then the UN comes along and says, well, no, we're not going to accept that. And he said, well, you can't. We're the Board of Peace. You have to do what we say. So are we going to have the UN going to war with the Board of Peace? These two organisations, basically like the Eastern Bloc going up against NATO. The UN is going to have to come out and say, look, you know, before you even start this Board of Peace of yours, nobody has to recognise any of your decisions. You're just supposed to be reconstructing Gaza and not ethnically cleansing it and turning into Trump Towers Gaza and the Trump Riviera, that sort of thing. You're actually supposed to be helping the people of the Palestinians. Can they pass a resolution? Will it be binding? Because, of course, people like Russia and America could just veto that. As it's got in one of my books, these two Americans complaining about something the Chinese have vetoed. It said, who was the idiot that gave Russia and China the veto? He said, well, it was the same idiot that gave it to us. Which basically means if you want to get rid of this veto, then everyone has to lose it, including the US. So you need a situation where you can't just veto, or, you know, if there's an overwhelming majority, it overrules that veto. Of course, in the Board of Peace, Donald Trump will be the only person who has a veto. But if the UN don't like what he says, then what are they going to do? It leads into the other problem, which is people saying, oh, if you attack Greenland, that's the end of NATO. No, that's where Denmark invokes Article 5 and all the rest of NATO come to defend Greenland against America. So if you attack us, we'll attack you back. You don't go, oh no, you've destroyed NATO. He doesn't care about that. That's what he wants. And like the tariffs, all these countries, when he pulled out his list of tariffs, they should have said, nah, bugger you. We're not going to negotiate. You put all those tariffs on our products. You put up the prices of everything in America, and you just see what the American people are going to do about that. You just see how many MAGA supporters suddenly go, hey, how come I can't afford anything? How come nobody will buy my soybeans? I don't think this Trump was a good idea. So we've already seen that. I mean, the biggest city in America is now run by a Muslim? Unthinkable. It's his fault that there's a Muslim in charge of New York. Oh, we're going to have tariffs because you don't support our taking over Greenland? Well, go ahead with your damn tariffs. See what the American people think of that. That's why we have the saying, Taco, Trump always chickens out. Well, give him something to force him to chicken out over. Everyone's rebelling because the prices have gone up, and they said, we don't care about Greenland. We only care about us and our health insurance and the cost of living, and you've stuffed that. There needs to be a bit more defiance out there in the world. The next time he says, oh, I'm going to put tariffs on you, you say, well, go ahead. We'll put tariffs on you back and see what happens. We'll go and buy Chinese electric cars instead of Tesla. And then Elon Musk will say, oh, God, I shouldn't have gotten in bed with Trump. It stuffed everything up. I mean, how ridiculous he's saying, oh, I have to have Greenland so I can defend it against Russia. Well, what's he going to do? He's going to take over Greenland, roll out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin, invite him into the back of his big car and give him a blowjob, like he did in Alaska. That's why I refer to him as Deep Throat Donny. So there you are. I'm warning you, the rest of the world, don't dismiss this board of peace as some toy like a 9-foot gauge railway. It could end up being a counter to NATO. An attack on one member of the board of peace is an attack on all of them. And we'll look at all the nuclear weapons we've got from Russia and China and North Korea. So there. Don't say I didn't warn you. And of course the Democrats. Where's your long list of reasons you're going to impeach him? Don't let Trump be the one that mentions impeachment. You've got to do that every single day. Impeach, impeach, impeach. It's the only way to produce freedom.